Hello and welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Ayşe Süberker. Unacceptable. That is how Turkey's Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu described the illegal search of a Turkish cargo vessel in the Mediterranean. The diplomatic fallout is already brewing as the Turkish government announced it was considering legal responses. A German frigate made the inspection on November 22nd in international waters. The Turkish ship was boarded in a commando-style raid with its captain and crew held at gunpoint. The search was part of the EU-led Operation Irini mission that is supposed to enforce an arms embargo on Libya. After the inspection, a German Defense Ministry spokesman conceded that nothing illegal was found. The incident comes as tensions continue to rise in the eastern Mediterranean over energy exploration rights and maritime claims. And it came just after Turkey sent an olive branch to the EU in hopes of diffusing tensions. And joining me now from Brussels is Laura Batalla. She is the Secretary General of the European Parliament Turkey Forum. And from Antalya, Tarik Oguzlu. He is a professor of the Department of Political Science and International Relations at Antalya Bilim University. Laura, Tarik, welcome to Straight Talk. It's good to have you on the program. This incident came at a very unfortunate time. Just days before, President Erdogan sent some sort of an olive branch to the EU calling for dialogue and saying Turkey's future was in Europe. And then this illegal search of a Turkish ship happened. So, Laura, has this made matters more complicated? And where is this latest standoff headed to?
Indeed, this has been a new confrontation that has happened following the one in June with another vessel from France. So it's the second time that there's an incident with a NATO member ally with Turkey. The European Union issued a statement a few days ago explaining what had really happened with regards to this incident. It highlighted the cooperative atmosphere that they encounter when searching this Turkish vessel. Unfortunately, there are different claims from the two sides, but I think the incident has been solved by now. Now we have to see how developments will develop indeed in the coming days in the run-up to the Council summit at the beginning of December. But this, I think, will be sorted out with good faith from both sides to find ways to solve these minor issues in the relationship.
Yeah, apart from this wishful thinking, Tarik, was this a legitimate intervention by the German ship? Was it in line with the international law? Because the EU since came out and said they could find nothing illegal.
Actually, it is not that much illegal from the perspective of international relations, international law, because according to international law, such kind of multilateral peace operations need to get the permission of the country which has its flag on such kind of ships. So according to the reports which have been released so far, it is very clear that the European Union, the Irini operation actually, has not asked Turkish permission, or Turkey might have given this permission much later than the operation was conducted actually. So it is up to the side you are looking to the problem. And from Turkish perspective, it has nothing to do with international law. It is very much against it. It is very clear. It's very clear.
So I just want to show two pictures of the same team that conducted the research of the Turkish vessel. On the left, you can see how the crew from that Panamanian flagship was treated. Very cordial indeed. The ship originated from in Alexandria, Egypt, and was heading towards Tobruk, Libya. Now, if you look at the pictures of the right, it looks like a counter-terrorism operation. Was there a double standard in how the Turkish crew and the vessel was treated, Laura?
The European Union has clearly said that it asked for Turkish consent. During 4 hours, they waited for this green light to be given, and an additional 1 hour was given, and the Turkish embassy in Rome was following that closely. And since no answer was received, that was when the operation started. The EU claims that this was done in accordance with international agreed procedures, and the crew acted in all degree of professionalism. So these claims, I mean, have been in a counter argued by the European Union in this statement. And it is true that after 1 hour of search, no illegal material was found on board, but they had to suspend the operation because the Turkish authorities didn't give permission to continue with the search.
So, Tarik, was it still legal to hold captain and crew at gunpoint? And do you believe that Operation Irini was launched by the European Union to enforce the arms embargo on Libya? And could we say that it has failed because of the flow of arms to the Tobruk government, so to say, warlord Khalifa Haftar continued during this process?
I think the position the European Union has adopted in this case is very much hypocritical, and it's very much biased against Turkey. Even though Turkey has sent a ship to Libya, it has been headed for the legitimate Libyan government, which has been recognized by the United Nations. As you have just pointed out before, there is a kind of ongoing traffic between the countries which support the Haftar government, which has not been recognized by the international authorities as the legal representative of the government. This is one side of the story. The other side of the story is that Turkey is a NATO ally. Turkey is a NATO member. So it is against the rules of courtesy that one member of the NATO allies is organizing such kind of an operation against the ship of another country, which is also a member of the NATO alliance. So this is also not within the accepted rules of courtesy. As I have just pointed out before, this is very much against international law. This is very much against international law because international law gives the right to the country which has its flag on such kind of ships to give its permission. Okay, and Turkish authorities have underlined that they were not in favor of such kind of a mission organized by the European Union. So even though Turkey might have given this permission a little bit late, it doesn't negate the fact that this operation was not very much well-grounded in international.
Yeah. So, Laura, have some countries used Operation Irini as a pretext to confront and intimidate Turkish ships in the Eastern Mediterranean, where there are several, we know that, maritime disputes? And could this illegal searches like this in the future make tensions over the exploration activities more dangerous?
Tensions are mounting, and they have been mounting already for some months. And we are reaching a critical stage, I would say. Borrello, the other day, the High Representative, clearly stated that we are reaching a watershed moment in our relations, and we need to find ways to find a new rapprochement in which we can sit at the table and have a dialogue and probably start all these exploratory talks that were launched by NATO a few months ago. We really need to have all the positions on the table and find a common understanding to find ways to get out of this current climate in our relations.
But what is this common understanding? You just mentioned Joseph Borrell's statement. He signaled tougher sanctions on Turkey during the upcoming summit in December. What's your take on that?
Well, they are on the table. This has been clearly stated by some member states, with France in the lead, I would say, asking for harsher sanctions. There have been some that were already imposed, targeted ones in previous council decisions. And this is still a possibility. We see different blocs in the European Union among its member states. On the one hand, France, Greece, and Cyprus. But on the other, we find other member states like Germany, but also Italy, Spain, and Hungary, which oppose these sanctions. And there are some other states which are in the middle, which also don't favor these measures, which might have a catalytic effect on the Turkish side, let's say. So we will see. The climate is turning, unfortunately, after recent developments, but this is still not clear that sanctions will be the preferred option in the upcoming council meeting.
So it's safe to say that there isn't a unified approach against Turkey, at least for the time being. So, Tarik, what will it take for both sides to find a common ground? Because we just mentioned that President Erdogan says he wants a deeper cooperation with the European Union so as to diffuse tensions. So what's your take on that?
I think Turkey seems to have changed a little bit its foreign policy orientation in recent days, particularly following the electoral victory of President Biden in the United States. So Turkish authorities have been giving the signal that Turkey's place is within the Western international community. Turkey would like to improve its tarnished relations with the Westerners. The Americans are one side of the story, but the Europeans are also other side of the story. Even the President Erdogan has made it very quite clear that there is no way back from Turkey's European orientation, and other strategic relations with non-Western countries. I mean, Russia or China can never be a kind of alternative to Turkey's decades-old and institutionalized relations with the Western actors. We also know that President Erdogan has sent his spokesperson, Ibrahim Kalın, to Brussels to have high-level meetings with European officials. And even Mr. Kalın has underlined very clearly that Turkey wants to have a new page, wants to open a new page in its relations with the European Union because it is in the interest of the both sides. Turkey has invested a lot in relations with the Western countries in terms of economy, in terms of strategic considerations, in terms of foreign policy orientation. But the point is that the Europeans need to also look to Turkey from a similar perspective. They should not cite Turkey within the same group of countries such as Russia and China, which they depict as geopolitical rivals or challenges. Turkey is a member of NATO. Turkey has been pursuing its membership with the European Union for a long period of time. And Turkey has been declared a candidate and the negotiations had started officially. So both countries will need to find a way to save face.
Okay.
But we should all... Okay.
Yeah, so having mentioned Western countries, Laura, there comes the institutions and then comes the United States. We know that Trump had a very hands-off approach throughout his presidency, let's say. Could we expect a Biden administration to be different?
I think it will be different in many fronts, as it has been stated already by him. I think we will be seeing an increased focus on human rights issues, which this might create as well some tensions between the two allies. But at the same time, I think that this return of a more multilateral administration to the US will also favor more understanding between the different allies. I think U.S.-Turkey relations as well as EU-Turkey relations have proven to be very resilient throughout the years. So this administration will be an opportunity as well for Turkey, but also for the EU to maybe come back to the international stage and foster more cooperation in all these conflicts that we are currently facing, which at the same time are shared challenges for all of us.
So, Tarik, how about the Cyprus issue? It seems it lies in the core of all disputes in the region, and Turkey insists there should be an equal state solution to this problem, whereas the European Union and most probably the next Biden administration will favor a bizonal and bi-communal federational model. So is there any end to what's the end game here?
Yeah, actually, it is not that much easier to see the end game here for all of us who try to understand international politics from a fair distance. But one point I need to underline is that since the time Greece and the Republic of Cyprus have joined the European Union, they approach the EU from a strategic perspective in such a way to counterbalance Turkey. But just because Laura has already mentioned that Biden will produce a positive impact in transatlantic relations, and just because Biden has invested a lot in multilateral organization, most important NATO, I expect to see that he will try to find a midway solution between the parties which are concerned in this dispute. Because traditionally speaking, Americans have played a kind of a mediation role in Turkish-Greek relations. Unfortunately, during the reign of President Trump, the Americans have abdicated from such kind of a role. That's why we had to endure so many geopolitical tensions in recent months.
Yes.
Because it has already been clear that the European Union itself or the European countries are not in a position to play a kind of objective and neutral role in this confrontation because, they have to show their solidarity with Greece and Greece within the EU. But thank God that Biden is in power in Washington, and he pays a very important attention to NATO, because the more powerful NATO becomes, the more likely the Westerners will come to the idea that Turkey needs to be within. Turkey needs to be secure. Turkey needs to be within the Western international community.
Well, everything seems tense at the moment, but we'll see if the sides will be able to diffuse those tensions in the short term. Let's say, Laura, Tarik, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining us on Straight Talk. Turkish officials have strongly condemned a recent meeting by Israel's ambassador to the UN with known Feto supporter Enes Kanter. Gilad Erdan posted a photo with the NBA player on his Twitter, saying they would work together to fight anti-Semitism. But Turkey's ambassador to the US was quick to point out that the group Kanter supports has been known to make anti-Semitic statements. Turkey's permanent envoy to the UN also blasted the meeting, saying it was shameful that Israeli officials would meet with a supporter of a terrorist group. Feto was behind a failed 2016 coup that killed 251 people. Hundreds who were on trial for participating were also recently sentenced. Feto's leader, Fethullah Gülen, remains at large in the US. Washington's failure to extradite him remains one of the major sticking points between the US and Turkey. And joining me now from Istanbul is Mehmet Celik. He is the managing editor at Daily Sabah, and also from Istanbul, Vehbi Baysan. He is an assistant professor at Ibn Haldun University. Gentlemen, welcome to Straight Talk. It's good to have you here on the program. Turkey's relations with Israel are at a pretty low point, but now with the Israeli officials openly meeting with the supporters of the Feto terrorist organization, it's bound to make things much worse, I guess. So, Vehbi, what sort of a fallout can we expect?
Well, that's, I think, very much related to past behaviors of Israel, which that fallout between Turkey and Israel came after Turkey stated that actually what happened in in Egypt against Morsi, an elected president all around the Middle East, the military coup was welcome, and Turkey said this is a military coup, unacceptable. Same behavior we see now here. There are many other problems, of course, with Israel. Not the same thing. I mean, here in Turkey, there was an attempted coup in which over 250 people lost their lives, 250 unarmed civilians lost their lives, and also over 4,000 injured. And Turkey is saying, well, look, this is unacceptable in any standard in the modern world. But yet, the champions of democracy and champions of so-called, of course, in the Middle East, that's how they portray themselves, are now hand in hand with the reps in the US. So I don't know what they have, because we don't have any official announcement or explanation for their behavior, but that shows the diplomatic standards Israel is adapting, both in the so-called developed world,
yes,
in the US, as well as in the region.
Yeah, so Mehmet, isn't it hypocritical of the Israeli officials to support a terrorist group that is, we know, that openly anti-Semitic, because Feto and its leader have repeatedly demonized the Jews in the past. So what kind of message do you think Israel is trying to give Turkey with that tweet especially?
I think the latest incident of the, taking a photo with a Feto supporter or Feto member is a reflection of a politics that Israel has been following for several years now, actually, particularly during Netanyahu's election and him running the show in Israel. This is simply saying that, look, we know, of course, I mean, the Israeli official is, of course, aware of who Enes Kanter is and what Turkey is saying about him. They're aware of that, but what they're trying to say and say, is that anti-Erdogan status is not changed. And even though this person is an anti-Semitic person, and they support, a terrorist group, we are still going to use that as part of the discourse that has been developed by Netanyahu and his administration against President Erdogan. The so-called pro-democracy or human rights and all that narrative becomes only a tool to serve their agenda against Turkey. And we know that the Israeli and Turkish relations have not been on smooth ground for nearly a decade now. So despite the several attempts to fix the relations, the grounds have been very shaky, and in fact, it can't be any lower than they have been right now.
So, maybe is it safe to say that Israel is using Feto as a tool to antagonize and confront Turkey in the region? And will there be diplomatic consequences if Israel keeps doing that?
We can say that, but I think what's important here is this the official position of State of Israel, or actually some group trying to jeopardize the efforts that both sides, I know behind the scene, trying to put to kind of have better relations. So we don't know that. That's very important. But if it is a state policy, but if we, remember what Netanyahu said in the past, there is no will, and there won't be in any near future re-establishing relations between Israel and Turkey, then this can be interpreted as the official position. But we just hope it's not, because we're talking about a terror organization, as I said earlier, that actually has blood in their hand of innocent people. They had nothing to do whatsoever. They just were out during that failed coup attempt to save their democracy and to save their country, but yet they were brutally killed. So now we have yet a pioneering democracy in the Middle East, so-called Israel, actually hand in hand with these people posing, giving photographs. Is this testing Turkey's reaction? We don't know, because a lot probably behind the scene going on. But I think we should invest and be hopeful that any investment towards rebuilding bridges between Turkey and Israel is important. But these kind of attitudes are not really helping the situation at all.
So, Mehmet, just this week, a dark chapter has closed in one of the biggest cases related to the 2016 failed coup. A Turkish court has given 337 former pilots and other suspects harsh sentences. Dozens will serve life in prison. What's next moving forward for Turkey?
I think it's important to highlight that one significant nuance here. The fact that these people carried out a coup against Turkey, the fact that there were 251 people killed and more than 2,000 injured, Turkey showed that it still follows the human right, universal human right principles, and they put these people to trial rather than simply what happened, for example, in Egypt, a very strong ally of Israel in the region.
Yes.
So this is a significant point to hold, I think. But with regards to what goes next, Turkey, with the incoming Biden administration, Turkey will still push forward with demanding extradition of Feto members in the U.S. And now that Biden also has a simply different position with regards to how Israel has been acting in the region compared to Trump administration. Yes. I think some sort of messages will be given, and that those messages may actually push Turkey, push Israel or other rivals of Turkey in the region to come to a reconciliation period with Turkey. So Turkey will push forward for its anti-terror policy, whether domestically or internationally. But I think for the region, some sort of dynamics will change. Even for Saudi Arabia, we're seeing some sort of positive messages, and Israel may join that as well.
So very briefly, Vehbi, because we're running out of time, are you hopeful that the Biden administration will take Feto terrorist Gülen's extradition request by Turkey differently?
Well, they better do. I'm an optimistic person, but let me add what Mehmet just said, is that over 250 people got killed, did not have a fair trial. It was summary execution, and a war plane opened fire over people. I hope that US would see that what happened, the terrible things happened that night, and actually, again, reestablish that good allied relationship with Turkey, because Turkey is an important country in the region and doing very important things. So I'm very hopeful, but I mean, obviously, next coming year is vital and very important between the two countries.
Yeah, especially the first crucial year. Gentlemen, we're out of time. Thank you very much for joining us on Straight Talk. And that's all for this edition of Straight Talk with me, Ayşe Süberker. If you've got any comments, follow us and tweet us at Straight Talk TRT. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, take care and goodbye.